no other candidate could possibly, I think, outwork me, that's for sure. I can only, because if they can't work 24/7, I can.
Banking on California, presidential hopeful Mike Bloomberg bringing in a whole new ground game to the Valley to take home the biggest primary prize. My exclusive conversation with the former mayor of New York.
The teacher was kind of ill-handled on social media. That's not good for anybody involved. We don't want people to be offended by the content that we're teaching.
Superintendent Bob Nelson unfiltered the district embroiled in a number of controversies, from active shooting hoaxes to allegations of systemic racism. Nelson doesn't hold back in a no-holds-barred interview. And our panel is in place, from the Iowa caucus chaos to Jim Costa's explosive new ad to a Fresno City council member putting up big bucks to keep Jerry Dyer out of the mayor's office. It's all on KC24, Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from KC24, your local election headquarters, with your host, Alexan Balakian. This is Sunday Morning Matters.
Good Sunday morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alexan Balakian. Please join the conversation at RealAlexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, Fresno County Clerk Brandy Orth on early voting and why it won't turn into another Iowa. But first, an extraordinary and unprecedented week in American politics. Crazy enough, it started in Fresno.
I am running to bring this country back together and start putting the united back into the United States of America. Every vote matters. You never know. We cannot afford another 4 years of this craziness. The Central Valley issues are Latino issues, and Latino issues are American issues.
Democratic presidential candidate Mike Bloomberg stumping at Fresno City College as part of his California tour on Monday, while every other candidate in his party was waiting on primary results in Iowa. Bloomberg, who jumped into the race late, making California his Iowa. And he's bringing in boots on the ground, and lots of them, into the Valley, hiring 800 campaign staffers to win over the Latino vote and farmers. The $60 billion man is pumping in millions more into California ads and is benefiting the most from the caucus conundrum in Iowa. During his visit to the Valley, the 77-year-old Bloomberg, who just rejoined the Democratic Party in 2018, told me in a candid one-on-one conversation California is king to his campaign, but not do or die. Mayor Bloomberg, welcome to Sunday Morning Matters.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. You know, you say California is your Iowa. Does that mean California is what you're really focusing on before the other caucuses?
No, I mean, you focus on the 9 states that go on Super Tuesday, which California is now part of, and then there's another 7 or 8 the week later, and another 6 or 7 the week after that. So there's about 24 states, and I think I've been to every one of them already once, and some of them, like California, a number of times. And this time I'm visiting 4 cities in California, but I've been here 5 times already, or some number like that. And all the states are important. California really is very important if you're trying to get elected, because it's just so big and has so many voters.
Why do you think it was important on a day the Iowa caucuses are happening to be here in Fresno?
Well, I'm not participating in those early 4 elections. I entered the race too late to get in. So I have the luxury of being able to go out and talk to the rest of the country. And, you know, these 4 states have 4 or 5% of the delegates, and California itself has 10 times that.
And any regrets about that? You know,
no, I mean,
it is.
Well, the downside is you're starting a little bit late and can't be in those 4 states. I did campaign in them before I decided not to run, and then it's too late to go back in. But you have the rest of the country, and I've had the time to be able to go do it. They're all sitting there worrying about, you know, a few delegates. And I understand if I were in this situation, I would too. I'm not criticizing them, but it's left me free to go in the last 6 weeks to 24 states and 54 cities, something like that.
Let me ask you this. Central Valley, you were even saying it in your speech, you know, we have water wars here, and
sure.
Water is one of the biggest crises,
yep.
next to the homeless crisis.
Yep.
You know, a lot of farmers did vote for President Trump, but you said the ones that left behind were the people who work on these farms.
Well, it's not like working for the farmers themselves that own the farms are getting hurt too.
How do you win over the farmer vote who did vote for Trump? And they believe he is producing the water that they need?
Well, there's no evidence that he's doing anything for water. That's ridiculous. He certainly doesn't believe in science. He's defunded research, which we need, and all the farmers would understand that. You know, farmers really are scientists and engineers. There's an awful lot of complex things in deciding what to plant and how to raise your crops and how to farm them and where to sell them. The farmers are anything but stupid. What Trump has done is he's put tariffs in that Americans are paying. He says they're against China, but the Americans are the ones who pay those tariffs. Chinese no. And China's cut back a lot of things they buy from us, and this new virus is going to make that worse. So if I were a farmer, at least what I'll try to convince them is I'd rather have somebody rational who's a business person who understands what they need. Donald Trump is not a business person. He's a real estate promoter, but he knows nothing about business. He knows nothing about management. He knows nothing about foreign policy and trade.
Let me finish with this. California, I know, means the world to you. I know
Yeah.
New York is big. California is the next biggest.
Yeah.
You know, on March 3rd, Super Tuesday, if you're not the front runner to win the California primary
Right.
in the Democratic Party, do you stop your campaign?
No.
Well, hold on, real quick. Do you reevaluate your campaign?
No.
Or do you just keep pushing it?
You keep pushing ahead. We're doing the right thing. You know, you're not going to win them all. You're not going to win all of California. You might not even have a majority of the delegates, but it really doesn't matter. It's how many delegates you pick up from all these states around the country. And then, you know, if you've got a majority, fine. And if not, you have to go to a brokered convention or something. And there's no reason to change. We have a great group of policy people and putting out policies on a lot of things. You can go on Mike Bloomberg 2020 website. We have, I think, the best political team. We have about close to, well, by next week we'll have 800 people working in California on the political process in 9 offices or something like that. We have social media people that are constantly putting out information so that people, and targeted information so people can find out about what we would do and why they should believe us. I'm out there. No other candidate could possibly, I think, outwork me, that's for sure. I can only, because if they can't work 24/7, I can. And they can't work 25.
You gotta sleep.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to sleep later on. I want to keep working. So we're doing all the right things, and I wouldn't change anything.
All right, Mayor
Good.
Bloomberg, we appreciate your time.
All the best. Thank you for having me.
You too.
Good.
All right, good to chat with the former mayor of New York. So coming up, we know all about the disaster in Iowa, but with the California primary moving up, could Fresno County face the same voting blunder? We're going to sit down with the Fresno County Clerk, Brandy Orth, next.